I'm going to be showing you how to create a cool looking YouTube video thumbnail for your channel. I'm going to be creating this exact same design with you from scratch. So as a bonus also for watching this video, I'm going to be showing you how to create this cool looking photo effect using the default brushes inside of Photoshop. So remember, this is the design we are going to be creating together. So if you have Photoshop open, let's do this together. We'll start by going to Photoshop, File, New, and the size that we are going to be using is 1280 by 720. Take a resolution of 150. We're not going to be printing this. This is only for web usage. So we want a resolution of somewhere between 72 and 150. 300 will be a bit too much because you're not going to be printing it, so 150 is fine. Click create, and once we have our Photoshop canvas created for us, let's invert this background. Now the best way to make this background black is press Command and I on your keyboard to invert it, and we have our black background. After we've done that, we want to add our text. So before I add the text, I just want to mention that text is vital. It's crucial in your thumbnail images because your viewer's going to get an idea of what your video is all about just by reading your text. Now you want to make your text nice and big, nice and bold, nice strong text. You don't want to use thin fonts, you don't want to use curly and decorative fonts. You want nice sans serif fonts, and make sure your titles are nice and catchy and basically full of clickbait. That's what you want. You want unbelievable titles. You want people to think that they're going to be able to change the world in 3 easy steps, going to master Photoshop in 5 steps, and in our case for this channel, it's become a music producer in 7 easy steps. That's the thumbnail that we are going to be creating together. So let's get some text. So press T on your keyboard to bring up the text tool, left click on the canvas here, and let's start typing our text. Now you can see that we can't see anything because my foreground is set to black, and in my character palette you can see that the color is black. So let's change that to, let's take this red for now. I think we'll stick with this red. Let me just zoom in a bit, and definitely want to make the font size smaller. Now instead of dragging around in this characters palette, the best way to change your font size is to transform the text. That's Control or Command T, and you want to hold Shift and Alt or Option and then drag. That's the best way to drag and make this your text smaller. So that's what you want, and now our text is definitely going to change. This is not the text you want to use, so we are going to be saying become a music. That's for the first line of text. Now to duplicate this text, you can right click and select duplicate, and we'll just click OK and drag this at the bottom here. Let's write producer in 7. And another way to duplicate your text is just press Alt or Option on your keyboard and just drag. This is a much easier and quicker way of duplicating your text, your images, and whatever layers you have in your layers panel. So let's change this third line of text to easy steps. Now we want to change the color of the easy steps text to white, like that. And in 7 we're going to be changing the text color to something like that. Maybe something a little darker. That's fine, that looks good. Now let's reduce the size of all these lines of text that we have here, these 3 lines of text. And to do that, again, just hold down Shift and drag. First you want to actually press Command or Control T. Now that you have this bounding box here, then you want to press Shift, so you do it proportionately and bring it down like that. Maybe even keep a little more gap in between the lines of text, so we'll bring Easy Steps a little down, Producer in 7 a little lower. That's fine. Now make sure that your text is aligned just like I have it. You can see it's perfectly aligned to the left, and if yours isn't, if your text is somewhat like this and not well aligned, you just select all these layers of text here, go to the top, as you can see here, where you have auto select, show transform controls, and at the side you can see you have this align left edges. Click on that, and now you have perfectly aligned, left aligned text. That's what we wanted. And now let's add some more text. This is our subtitle, and again our text is black. Let's change that, let's make it white, and we'll transform it, and we'll reduce the size a whole lot. And this text is going to say winner of the Music Artist Awards. And we'll change this font to say Monsterrat, another good font, but we want the case to be all lowercase. And in my characters panel here, you can see that I have the all caps selected, so you can go ahead and uncheck that if yours isn't selected already. And we want to bring the size down a bit, actually a whole lot. So let's use our favorite Control T and then Shift and then drag. Winner of the Music Artist Awards. Now see, this thumbnail already has got a lot in it. We've got nice big bright text, and we have a lot of clickbait as well. So with nice text that stands out and a catchy title, I'm sure you're definitely going to get views for your video. At the bottom now, I had a little logo that was a text logo, and the logo was called Artist Series. Bring down the size, and let me just type that text in, Artist and Series. Now you can see that the leading is so high and our line height is so high that we definitely don't want this separation here. So to do that, we'll just go to our leading, our line height here, and choose something like say about 24, and then we want to left align it here. So because our text is selected, we can just go to this left align option here, something like that. But let's bring the text closer together, so instead of 24, let's do say 14, or maybe even 16, yeah, 17, whatever. There's no perfect setting. So once we have our Artist Series logo in place, we're pretty much done with the text side of this thumbnail image here. So let's group all our text together, and once I've selected it, we're going to group it by pressing Command G, Command or Control G. That's going to group our text, and we'll call it text. So we're pretty much well organized as well. Now let's introduce some color to our background. So we're going to be adding some glows to the background, and to do that, go to your toolbar and select the ellipse tool and drag from any one of the corners so that you have a nice big circle, and our circle is black in color. Let me just change that there. You double click on this ellipse and let's change the color. Let's sample our text color, so we have a nice bright red circle like so. And once we have that, let's just name our layers, call it red circle. It's important to stay organized, because once you have hundreds of unnamed layers, it's going to be a lot of work for you to reorganize your PSD file. So remember to be organized and name your layers. So I've named mine red circle, and then let's add some blur to the circle. Go up to filter, blur, Gaussian blur, and convert it to smart object. Just in case you want to increase or decrease the size of the blur, you can always do that only if your layers are converted into a smart object. So I'm happy with this radius of 91. Like I said, there's no perfect setting. You can put, if a setting less than what I've taken looks good, go ahead and use that. So I said 91, but yeah, 79. See, like I said, there's no perfect setting. So if it looks good, just go ahead and click OK. Make sure there's enough blur though, and let's increase the size a bit more so we don't have those black corners here. So this looks fine. And now we'll create our orange circle. To do that, we'll do it the same exact way. We'll go to the toolbar, go to our ellipse tool, and let's drag and create an orange circle. Double click here on this shape layer, the ellipse layer, and now we'll go for something orangish like so. Let's name it orange circle. And once we've done that, go up to filter, blur, Gaussian blur, convert to smart object. Always, you won't regret it if you convert your layers into a smart object. And I'm using the same radius, same blur radius that I used for the red circle. I'll click OK. Once I've done that, then it's time to add our model or our musician or rapper or music producer or whoever you want to add. Basically a photo. You're going to be adding a photo of someone, because a study has shown, I think research has been done to show that if you have people in your images, the chances of them clicking and viewing your channel, your content, is a lot higher. So if you have a photo of yourself, you can go ahead and add that. In this case, I'm adding the photo of this rapper here, and I'll right click, and I actually got this from unsplash.com. I went and searched for rapper, and I kind of liked this particular photo, so I'll right click, copy, and then go to file, go to new, and since we've already copied our image on our clipboard, you can see clipboard is highlighted. So let's go ahead and click create, and then go to edit, paste special, paste in place. So we've got our subject in place here, and we want to definitely separate him from the background. So the best way to do that is go to your toolbar, go to the quick select option here, and click on the select subject button here. And once you do that, you should have a good selection. We'll copy our model and go to our document. Where is our Photoshop document? Here. And let's paste him in. Control or Command V. Once we paste him in, we want to transform him. Control or Command T. Shift Alt and Option, so he's transformed from all sides. That's another cool way of transforming it, your images. That's Shift, Alt or Option, and drag from any one of the corners here. So now that we've got our wrapper, our model in place, let's add some outer glows to the model or to the wrapper. And let's actually name this layer model. Right click, go to your blending options, go to outer glow, and you want to select a color that's something maybe a white is fine, or maybe something close to the orange, something like that, just so the blur is enough, or rather your glow is enough. Click OK once you're happy. And I think I need to increase the size of my red and my orange glows, so I'm just going to go down to that quickly, click on both the layers, Control or Command T, and now I'm going to just hold Shift and drag so that it's a little bigger, something like this. That's fine, and not bad, we're making some good progress. And I remember I had some music notes in the background just behind the model, so let's go to Google Images and grab those. I just typed in music notes, and this is what I liked. And so we'll go ahead and right click. Actually, let's select another set of music notes just for the sake of this example, so you can kind of follow with me. I'll select this and this set of music notes, and then I'll right click, copy image, go to my PSD, my music channel PSD, the one that we are creating together, and paste. Now it's a little small, so we want to transform it like so and rotate it a little. Once we are happy with the sizing, we can now invert this image because we want all the black notes to be turned into white. So let's do Command and I, Command Control I. Once we've inverted it, now we want to get rid of the black that is in this image here. So let me hide my model first, and yeah, so this is the black that we want to get rid of. Now there are two ways, or there's several ways of actually doing that, and many would prefer using the magic wand, the good old magic wand, selecting in the black, going over to select and then selecting similar and deleting. Now you can see this looks pretty ugly if you ask me, so that's not what we want. We want to get rid of all the black and make sure that our notes stand out. So to do that, we'll just go to our blending modes and click on screen. Now you can see this looks much better, and we've got rid of all the black in the image. Now our edges are a little harsh, let's get rid of those. So let's click on, actually let's name our layers, call this music notes. Let's add a layer mask to this music notes layer. Once we've added our layer mask, let's press G on our keyboard to bring up our gradient tool here, and we want to have the blending mode set to multiply, and I'll get to that in a minute. So once we have a blending mode set to multiply, let's drag across this image here like so. So now we're blending the notes in nicely, and from the right as well, like that. And remember, I told you why we must have multiply selected for our gradient tool here, because if I delete this layer mask, let me delete the layer mask, I'll add the layer mask again, and let's assume that I've selected normal as the blending mode for the gradient tool here. And now if I drag across the image, now if you see, if I drag across the second time, you can see now the effect on the left is back to square one. Now if I drag across here, you can see that the effect at the top goes back to all white here. So let's undo that, and let's go back to our gradient, change the blending mode to multiply, and now let's do that again. Now you can see we can affect all four sides nice and evenly. That's a cool little tip I thought I'd share with you. So now that we're done with the music notes, let's bring down the opacity to around 40 or say 20, like so. That's pretty okay. Now let's bring back our model into the picture. That's that. And now let's add a YouTube logo. Let's go to Google Images, search for YouTube logo, but I'm happy with this particular YouTube logo. I'm just going to copy it nice and quickly, go back to our Photoshop document and paste it in, transform it, make it nice and small, and let's get rid of the edges here. Now for this particular case, you can very well use your magic wand because the edges are pretty defined and you'll more often than not get an accurate selection. So now let's transform and rotate our YouTube logo like so. That's fine. And now the final logo will be the parental advisory logo. And let's see, let's use this one. Oh, this is a PNG already, so let's use the PNG. Right click and copy. Let's paste. Again, we can use our magic wand for this. And let's transform, make it nice and small. Like so. Looking pretty good. And now you can notice that our text is getting a little lost, like especially for the first line of text that says become a music. That part is getting a little lost in the glows, in the orange and the red glows. So to counter that, we'll go to our text layers here and just let's add a rectangle. Go to our toolbar, go to the rectangle tool here, and just let's add a text box or a text container behind the text that says become a. Let's bring that down. Now you can see the text is much more well defined, and we can do that for all our text here. So let's make it smaller, nice and proportionately here. So that's looking cool. To actually, before I move further, good practice, group your layers, and let's call it rectangles or text containers actually, so we know what it actually means and what's hiding inside those groups. So these are our logos, so I'll group that as well, call it logos. Our models on separate layer. Now something I always do is I tend to add a little noise in my images just to give it that nice old vintage kind of feel. So to do that, to add a noise layer, we'll just go to the bottom of our panel here and click create new layer. Let's call this noise. Head on over to edit, go to fill. 50% gray is what we want. Click OK. Go to filter, click on noise, add noise, and 15% is what I've gone with. Anything from 10 to 20% should be fine. Make sure your distribution is Gaussian and your setting here is monochromatic, otherwise we'll be getting this ugly colorful noise here, but we don't want that. We want monochromatic noise, just white, black and gray. Click OK. And then we want to change our blending mode to overlay or maybe even soft light, and then bring down the opacity to around 50. That's fine. So you can see we've got this nice grain that is happening in our image, and that's what we wanted. And I think we're almost done. No, actually just one more step. Let's add little white specks of little dust in this image. That's something I also like to do. just to add a little grungy little element in the design. So actually it's going to be a star field, so I'll show you how to create that. We'll go to create a new layer. Let's call it star field, or let's white specks, same thing. I mean, it's going to look the same. Go over to edit, fill, 50% gray, just like we did with the noise layer. We're going to be adding noise just like we did. Use the same settings, click OK, and now this is the step that matters. Go to image, adjustments, and threshold. Now if you move the slider to the right, you can see you get this nice star field, a sky full of stars. Something like this is fine. So we definitely don't want the black. So like we did with the music notes, to get rid of all the black, we just go to screen. So what screen is doing is hiding all the blacks, and whatever's white will be shown in your image. That looks pretty cool. Just put this speck layer, the starfield layer, behind our model, and bring down the opacity to around 50ish, 40, 50, so it's just visible. That looks pretty good, and I think we're pretty much done. Let's just organize our layers again. We'll call these images, and I'll just, because I have a habit of naming all my layers and organizing all my layers, I think I should do it here too. Let's put a noise layer inside a group and call this group adjustment. And you can have all sorts of things in here. You can do a curves adjustment layer if you want, curves, and you can do something like that. And then you want to just close your adjustment layer. And now I also have a habit of color coding my layers. So all my adjustments I know are in red color. My text is always in yellow. My logos I keep in blue, and my images I keep in green. So it's pretty much well organized. So there you have it. You have our first thumbnail that we've created together for a music channel. And I remember I promised you how to create this cool looking photo effect using the default brushes in Photoshop. And I know we've taken a lot of time with our thumbnail, our music thumbnail, but we'll rush through this quickly. So let's delete the effect altogether, and let's now create a new layer, and we'll call this, say, photo effect, and press B on your keyboard to get your brush tool out. Go to your brushes settings, your panel here, and go to special effect brushes and go to Kyle's spatter brushes. Now I think this set of brushes is available in Photoshop CC, and it's not available in versions below that. Correct me if I'm wrong, but basically this effect you can use on any sort of brush, any grungy brush that you could download from the net. This effect will work. But since this is coming shipped with Photoshop and it's a nice brush, let's use this. If you don't have it, there are plenty of options. Just go to Google and search for grunge brushes or ink brushes or something like that, or even spatter brushes. You can search for that. So let's use Kyle's spatter brushes, Supreme Spatter, and texture brush, as it says here in the little tooltip. Let's grab that, and now let's draw over the canvas here. And oops, we've got white as a foreground, but in this case we want black as a foreground. Let's start painting, and there you can see our effect is starting to take place. This looks pretty good, not too bad. And once we have this, we're going to be adding our model, or our gamer girl, as I like to call her. Where is she? The gamer girl. And the image that I had selected, I believe, was, okay, not that, but let's go with this. I mean, I'm glad that the image I had selected isn't showing up here, because we can show that this effect works with several images. So let's select this girl here, and it's a pretty cool looking gaming background as well, so this is going to work just fine. Copy your image and then paste your image, and you'll see it automatically be placed above your photo effect layer. Let's call this gamer girl, and let's transform the photo, the image. Control or Command T, and then when you're transforming it, Shift Alt or Option to transform from all sides. Something like that looks fine. And to get the effect, to create the magic, all you need to do is right click on the gamer girl layer and select Create Clipping Mask, and that looks pretty good. Just like that, you have a nice looking effect on for your images, and it didn't take much work either, so that looks pretty good. And there you have it. We've completed our YouTube thumbnail for the music channel that we were creating together, and finally I showed you how to create this cool looking photo effect. Now if you head on over to my website premadepixels.com, I have several downloadable templates for YouTube thumbnails, YouTube banners, Instagram as well, and I hope you give my website a look. And definitely don't forget to subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell, and like and share this video. Thanks, and I look forward to having you in the future for more tutorials like this. Bye bye.